Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode in our Jane Bank Redesigning Your 2020 Goals series. I'm Janice McIntosh, Chief Representative Officer of Jane Bank in Florida. And joining me this evening are Paul Penn, Assistant Vice President, Sales and Client Services in our sister company, Jane Fund Managers, and David Mullings, Founder and CEO of Mahoe Capital, which operates right here in Florida. Welcome, Paul and David.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good. On this episode, we'll be talking about my favorite topic, savings and investment in Jamaica, the opportunities. And of course, especially for the Jamaicans who are here in the diaspora and of course the wider, far afield. David, let's start the ball rolling with you. What are young professionals looking for in Jamaica to invest in? Persons who are in the diaspora like yourself.
Well, as you know, Janice, I used to work with Jamaica National, so I'm very happy to be here. And not much has changed since 2007 when I worked with Jane and what young professionals are looking for. The interest rates in the United States are low. They're even lower now, so they're much worse. So we are looking for better savings options, better interest rates. We're also looking to invest. As you know, when I was on Bloomberg TV earlier this year, we talked about the amazing performance of Jamaica Stock Exchange, the best performing stock exchange in the last 5 years, according to Bloomberg. So everybody now wants to own a piece of the rock. They want to know how can they invest in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And then lastly, a lot of us do want to own a piece of the rock in terms of real estate. We want to either buy a second home or buy our parents' or our grandparents' home or have somewhere else that we can come down to. So those are the three things that we're looking for.
I couldn't agree with you more because, I mean, at my office, we have persons coming in all the time looking for real estate investment in Jamaica. And we speak about that some more later on. But tell me something, are younger Jamaicans in Florida and elsewhere in North America wanting or hoping to return to Jamaica soon? And what are your views on that?
Well, so definitely there are more people now, certainly after COVID-19 has come out, who are more interested in going back to Jamaica. Obviously, we've seen what has happened with unemployment here, but not just that. Florida hasn't exactly done a really good job of dealing with the pandemic. Jamaica has done a much better job. And so people are realizing that the perception of Jamaica was different from the reality of Jamaica. And now they do want to look at moving back. I don't think that is the majority as yet, but it is getting to that point. They at least want to have one foot in Jamaica and one foot in the US or Canada.
I find it as well too. Persons are really exploring what's happening in Jamaica because, as you say, how we handled the COVID crisis was really exceptional. And I think persons can see what Jamaica really has to offer. And even though we're a third world country, we really handled it like a first world. And that's hands down. So I want to get to Paul now. Paul, what are some of the steps that Jamaicans overseas need to take if they want to invest in instruments offered in Jamaica? So we know about what David said a while ago about investments and real estate, but because we know that the Jamaicans, especially the younger ones, are diversifying their portfolio, what are some of the things you believe that they are interested in, the younger ones?
All right. For the most part, we find that the investment community, especially in that particular space, is looking for options that are stock related. David just mentioned about the stock exchange being, the best performing stock exchange on a number of years. So what you find is that persons are looking to get that level of exposure here in Jamaica whilst they live overseas. The steps that are normally taken, for example, to open an account is very simple. You find that it may be a little bit even more simpler than what you'd find on the opening a regular commercial bank account. All it requires is just your ID, your TRN, your proof of address, and all of those documentations can be notarized and sent to us electronically, and we can get the ball rolling from there.
Okay, that sounds good. And you're right. I mean, to open an account at Jamaica National, the steps are pretty long, but it's so necessary for compliance reasons. So I'm happy to hear that to open an account with fund managers is not as arduous.
No.
So, Paul, what are some of the investments that we have at Jane Fund Managers? What can we offer to those persons who are overseas? Some of the investment products you have.
Okay. The products that are on offer are the same products that are available here in Jamaica. You find that the stock market is an offering that persons can partake in. We also have access to the bond market, whether it be in Jamaican dollars or even US dollar type instruments. Those instruments are available for persons to partake in. So we find that any instruments that are stock related or bond like related, those are instruments that persons are looking for. But naturally speaking, you find that you have to, you speak to your advisor first to understand what is uniquely appropriate for that particular person based on their own objectives.
Okay, so that's broad and that's far afield. But if I'm listening now and I'm in the diaspora and I'm saying, all right, Paul, let me pin it down. What's a good instrument right now to invest in?
I always get that question. Again, it boils down to the individual themselves as to what their objectives are. So for example, you may be looking at, purchasing a home in the near future, or you may be looking at your kids' education down the road. It all depends on your unique circumstances and what you want from this investment. And then that now is what I'll put together, mix it in a pot to see exactly what instruments are on offer here that is most appropriate in that regard.
I see. David, I saw you shaking your head or nodding your head. Are you agreeing with Paul right there? It really has to be customized to you, the individual.
Naturally.
Yes, I think that is very important. I'm not a financial advisor, but Blue Mahoe Capital is an investment firm, and Paul is actually the person we deal with. Our account is at Jane Fund Managers, and it was very easy for us to open. It has been easy for us to get money into our account in Jamaica and to make purchases down there. But it has to be tailored to the individual. What's your age? What are your plans in life? And what do you want to do with that capital? So I think Paul is definitely hit the nail on the head.
Right on point with that. And I think many Jamaicans here, because they don't know the landscape, the financial landscape or investment landscape in Jamaica, they really want somebody to hold their hand. But really, I know Paul, you're excellent in your field, and if you ask the right questions, the customers themselves will come to the right solution. So I know that that's part of what you do, and I think that persons who are listening know once they give you a call, you ask the right questions, and they themselves will say, you know what, this is the right product for me right now, without you having to say to them, this is it.
Naturally, we'll give them some guidance as to where the parameters lie, and from there they'll make the decision as to where is the best fit.
For it right now. Okay, so the big question right now is hanging over our heads, COVID-19. We know that the world is in uncertainty right now with COVID-19. Do you think it's a good time to invest in anything at this time in light of, COVID-19? I
always get that question. It is always a good time to invest, irrespective of what's happening in the market space. Now, for example, this year it's COVID, last year it was something else, the year before it's something else. What you find is that the market is correlated like that in terms of when there is something happening in the market, then something else is positively being affected. So with COVID, there are opportunities that are abound, and we will guide our clients to find those opportunities and take advantage of them. So to answer your question, it's always a good time to invest.
I like that.
What the market space is.
I like that. This year has been unprecedented. Let's be honest. We had the Sahara Desert that covered the Caribbean. We almost had a war here in the United States. We have COVID-19. We have so many things. Jamaica had a tremor earlier on. So we know it's unprecedented times, but as you rightly say, it's never a bad time to invest. And I'm happy that persons like you at Jane Fund Managers will be able to guide persons on the right way and the right things to invest in.
Correct.
So that is excellent. So since we're at Jane Fund Managers now, how do I monitor my Jane Fund Manager investment account from overseas? How do I do that?
That's very simple. For example, once you're an investment client, you're automatically assigned an investment advisor. David can attest to that. So you have a point person at all times to give you that guidance, to give you that update on the account. Separate and apart from that, naturally we have our online platform, and that platform you are able to view and monitor the progress of your investments at all times. So either which way, you are always abreast of what's happening on the portfolio.
Okay, that sounds good. Paul, I'm going to turn the tables a little bit, I want to know if you have any questions for me.
Well, naturally, Janice.
Naturally, I like that.
How is it that Jamaicans in your diaspora, in your space, are able to open and maintain an investment account? It's a similar question to what you asked me. I just want to get a feel as to how the Jamaicans or the Jamaicans in that particular space are able to maintain something like that.
Well, you use the word investment. I like to say savings because I think I leave the investment to you guys, the big guns. But to open accounts at Jamaica National, we actually don't open them. We don't establish a relationship at all. What we facilitate it. So persons can actually come into the office or they can mail their documentation into the rep office and we will accept it and send to Jamaica, and then Jamaica is the one who actually establishes the relationship with them. So to open an account at Jamaica National, you are going to need about 10 different things. And persons want to ask me, well, what are they? I say, you know what, I'd rather email you the documentation because it's so much to remember. But let me just try it right here. So it's 2 character reference forms, a source of funds form, CIF form, which is a customer information form, a FATCA form. We need also 2 proof of address. We need 2 forms of ID. 1 must be a passport. And we need also your letter of instruction and a self-verification form. So it's quite a few things. But, I say, listen, everybody has to do it. Everybody has to do it. And it's just part of the course.
Yes, far more than what we would.
I realize that.
So question. Since those documentations are pretty much forwarded to us here in Jamaica, how is the account funded?
Yes, and that's a good question because, no matter how many times we say to persons, we don't have a banking license in the US. So if you want to put money in your account or fund your account, you'd have to do so by an intermediary. So an intermediary could be bank to bank, which is a wire transfer, or a money transfer, that's like remittance. So of course, because the JN Money is our sister company as well, we usually recommend JN Money. But while we're here in the US, we really don't have a relationship because by regulations, we can't share anything about JN Money. And so we really like to keep that separate so persons can actually mail their money down. They can do it by wire transfer, bank to bank, or they can do remittance. But of course, we do recommend JN Money because once the money goes through JN Money, it goes into your account.
Okay. And naturally, they would be able to access their funds with ease, would you say?
Yes, immediately. And, we do encourage everyone who establishes a relationship with Jamaica National to do online banking. Because just like you, we do have an online banking platform, and it is extremely extensive. You can pay bills, you can transfer funds, you can do wire transfers, you can request statements, you can do so much on the platform. And so we really encourage persons to do the online platform. Some persons do have an aversion to technology, but what we do, we really and truly hold their hand and we say, listen, you got to sign up. Because cut out the middleman. Because when they call us and ask for the balance in their account, we say, listen, cut out the middleman. You can do it yourselves. And we just allow them to do what they need to do to be able to bank 24/7.
Okay, that's good. That's good. One other thing that I noticed also, especially on our side, we find that clients or diaspora clients, they are interested. I mean, David mentioned something like that earlier, that they're interested in having a piece of the rock whilst they're overseas. Is that something that you would help them to facilitate as well?
Definitely, and that's what we do a lot of. So persons who are requiring mortgage for like homes or residences or land, we are the ones who facilitate that. So we can do the entire mortgage application here from our office in Florida. And so what we do, we send persons information to do pre-qualifications. So once they get pre-qualified, it's like money in the bank. We will finance you based on what we give you. So in terms of persons who want to buy land or commercial purchases or residential purchases, we actually do the pre-approval in Florida, and we also do the entire mortgage application process. So once the pre-approval is done, we give them a list of requirements. They give that back to us. We we compile the application and send it down to Jamaica electronically initially, and the underwriters or adjudication department actually either approves it, suspends it, or denies it. But I would say most times they approve it because we're pretty efficient there at the rep office.
Okay, good. Quite comprehensive. I noticed that you mentioned JN Live earlier. What other features or functions that is unique to them in that particular space?
Well, JN Live is a platform that has been developed a lot by Jamaica National, and I think it's one of the more unique platforms in all the commercial banks in Jamaica itself. And so one of the features, of course, you can transfer monies from JN, so RTGS from JN to other banks You can do it from JN to a bank here in the United States. You can actually, set up your online payments for bills. You can order statements. You can do so much with the online banking platform. Everything that a person will be calling the member care center for, they can actually do themselves. And I want to mention the member care center number because, again, it's good information to have. It's 1-800-462-9003. That's 1-800-462-9003.
I love that you guys talking so much about Jane Live, since that's what I was in charge of launching.
I know. I remember that, David. I remember. So you're one of the pioneers.
Yeah. Kudos to you, David.
My baby.
Yes, that is so true. I want to mention something even for the FATCA as well. So if you notice, I mentioned that you must have a FATCA form. So what FATCA is really the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. And this was actually introduced in about 2010, but came on stream in 2014. What it actually is that every US person must sign a FATCA form. And what that does, it informs the financial institution, in this case, Jamaica National, that you are a US person. And in that case, if you have investments or savings of $50,000 or more, you're going to have to declare that. And so this is worldwide. It's not unique to just Jamaica alone, but the onus is really on the financial institutions to ensure that these funds are actually reported. So what you'll do in a case like that is you will speak with your tax preparer, you get a form, declare it, and then you're good to go. We have a double taxation treaty, so you won't be taxed twice. The US just wants to know what kind of investments you have outside of the country. And so there's no need for panic. There's no need to, think that Uncle Sam is reaching, overstretching their arms or anything. It's just, run of the mill. So it's not a bad thing.
Right.
Okay. So, Paul, you have any more questions for me? Because I want to ask David some more questions,
You can proceed.
Okay. So, David, right now I would say you are hot in the diaspora because you are on every platform now, speaking about investment and what persons can do. And I really want you, even if you have repeated it before, I want you to talk about what young persons can actually do right now to shore up their future as it relates to investment, and how should they look on investment right now, especially the young people.
Well, I'm glad that they asked that. And I think most of us aren't taught investing when we're growing up. We're not taught financial literacy as well. And that's why we end up usually starting late. The most important thing is that you need to start. I don't care if it's $10 or $100, but start and then be consistent. So don't try to time the market, right? Things might be down right now. The Jamaican markets are down. The US markets are all over the place. It depends on the day of the week. But the idea is that you want to put the same amount or put the money in every single month. You want to keep buying. And the average person, I don't think, should be picking individual stocks. That's why you would call somebody like Paul, who is a financial advisor. They can help you pull together a portfolio, a basket, because you don't have time to look at every single thing that's going there. But over time, you're going to know what's called dollar cost averaging. By buying every single month for the next 2 years, then it means that I'm going to average out, smooth out what my price was. Sometimes it was high, sometimes it was low, but I get to smooth out my average cost per stock. But start, I don't care how small it is, start getting that habit. And one of the hardest things is to have money in your account and then you see it leave. And you tend to feel that it's a payment, but no, it's an investment, because you're going to look at the statement on the other side. And then, as Paul can point out, you're going to get dividend checks. I believe if you're young, you should reinvest those dividends, but you would give instructions to your advisor. When you know that dividends came in, it's like, oh gosh, I earned some money as well. And then you can think that mindset from this is money leaving my account to this is money being invested. Reinvested. Exactly.
So don't think short term, think long term, think slow and steady like a marathon.
Yes, you want to, you really want to think long term. I'm a big Warren Buffett person. So Warren Buffett would say buy, hold, prosper kind of approach, right? You want to think long term, 5 years, 10 years out. My mentor would say that you want to buy a few great companies run by good management and domiciled in strong long-term growth industries. So think about the industries you think are going to be around in 10 years, in 15 years. think about the companies that have wide economic moats, right? Good barriers to entry. You know the brands, you trust them, and then you want to buy into those and hold. And if it dips like what's happening right now in some cases, you're probably going to buy more. That's what we've been doing. Paul can attest to. We are net purchasers in Jamaica over the last few months, and we intend to continue buying because there are some great companies in the Caribbean that we're not really paying attention to. They don't get coverage on Wall Street. Now people are going to start paying attention more to that.
So are like Junior Stock Exchange, is that unique to Jamaica or blue chip companies? Is that unique to us or you have that?
So I would say the junior market is not entirely unique to Jamaica, right? Toronto, Canada with the Toronto Stock Exchange has a venture exchange, which is similar. But the Jamaica Stock Exchange, when they launch a junior market, is unique in that those companies don't pay any taxes, no corporate income tax for the next 5 years. So that's a huge savings for those companies. That is something that's not done almost anywhere else in the world. So that helps to bring more businesses that were private, right? Jamaica has fewer companies listed. By doing that, we've had more companies now get listed. So more of us benefit from these businesses that are already in Jamaica, that we're buying their food, their bun, or so on. So that's unique, and we should take advantage of it. And we have seen some really interesting IPOs. I think another one that we should pay attention to more is the energy side of things. Right? So Jamaica National had brought an IPO previously to market for MPC Caribbean. It's a clean energy company. And they now run the largest solar plant in the entire Caribbean. And that's in Jamaica, the largest solar farm, which has helped to bring down some of the cost of electricity in Jamaica. And we, the diaspora, know that's one of the biggest things holding back Jamaica. So let's invest in those things. When we talk about infrastructure, Trans-Jamaica Highway was an IPO that came. If we wanted to buy, we could reach out to Paul and say, hey, Paul, we want to get into this IPO. And then Paul would coordinate the paperwork we need to file, and he would get us into that IPO. So it's really easy, and we need to start taking advantage because there's going to be a lot more IPOs in Jamaica over the next
that sounds good. That sounds good, David. I love what you just said a while ago. And I want to ask Paul, you know, when David spoke about financial literacy is not being taught in schools, what age do you see persons coming in at Jane Fund Managers, or what age would you encourage young persons to start looking about investing and putting away some money?
Well, we have seen that millennials coming in. What I believe now is that with the advent of technology and so forth, the younger generation are a little bit more aware than even my generation as to the options that were available. Prior to now, we'll be looking at either a repurchase agreement as the optimal asset to buy into. Now, I mean, the stock market is an option that persons are, a little bit more aware of.
Yes.
In that particular instrument to get a better feel as to how they grow their portfolio a little bit more.
Well, that sounds good. I mean, this has been a great discussion, and I loved every minute of it. We're going to wrap up right now, but I want to find out, David, any parting words? Paul, any parting words? David, you can go first.
Yeah, well, for me, the most important thing is that people need to realize that Jamaica is different today than the Jamaica that they left when they migrated, whether it's 10 years, 20, 30 years ago. Right? Jamaica is paying down its debt. Our debt to GDP ratio is now below 1%, is on the way to 60% within 5 years. If you're looking at a country like Italy or Greece, my gosh, you don't want their GDP ratio. So that's great for Jamaica. We're freed up cash. And that's why the government, under whichever party, they've been able to invest more in infrastructure, which is great for the economy, great for the country. So make sure you own a piece of the rock. You cannot keep complaining about foreigners investing or buying a piece of Jamaica if the diaspora isn't willing to put their money where their mouth is. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you, David. Paul?
And if you want to own a piece of the rock, we stand willing and able at Jane Fund Managers to assist you in that process. All you need to do is just reach out to us, and we'll show you exactly how to get it done.
Excellent. And I mean, for me, Jane, Florida Representative Office, we have been in Florida since 2003. We do serve Florida, but we serve the entire United States as well. Our rep office is in Florida, but we serve everyone. And so if you need information about JN Bank and its group of companies, we are a large conglomerate. Feel free to contact us at 1-800-462-9003. We've come to the end of our discussion. I want to thank you so much, David Mullings. You have added so much to this discussion. And of course, Paul from our sister company, Jane Fund Managers. We're going to be back next week. That's a Thursday, the 9th of July, when we'll be discussing another very interesting topic. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us, Janice.
Thanks.